In the winter of his ministry, Billy Graham delivered a final message, the same message about God that he'd given for more than 7 decades.
That he loves you, willing to forgive you of all your sins.
Graham's influence owed much to key people he encountered and who encountered him in the spring of his life. As a young boy in the 1920s, Billy Graham was impressed by a fire and brimstone tent service held by Billy Sunday. In the late 1940s, after graduating from Wheaton College and marrying his sweetheart Ruth, Graham launched his evangelistic career. Soon, he was holding his own revivals. One of his most successful was in Los Angeles in 1949.
I do not believe that any man can solve the problems of life without Jesus Christ.
During the crusade, publisher William Randolph Hearst used his newspaper empire to make Graham an instant national celebrity.
When you come to know Christ for yourself, there's a peace and a fulfillment.
The long, prosperous summer of Graham's ministry continued with revivals in New York, London, and across Europe.
Now we take you to the platform in Cliff Barrow.
He also built a media empire, spreading the gospel through radio, television, books, and feature films. Decade after decade, Graham crisscrossed the globe, often holding a dozen revivals a year. But one place he refused to preach was South Africa. Apartheid ran against Graham's principles.
Now, Jesus was a man. He was not a white man. He was not a black man.
In 1973, he agreed to preach in desegregated rallies, delivering a fiery message about racism.
Christianity is not a white man's religion, and don't let anybody ever tell you that it's white or black. Christ belongs to all people.
Graham often traveled and preached in countries off limits to most religious figures, including the Soviet Union and North Korea. During these years, more than 200 million people heard Graham's message.
I say to you as Christians today, love one another. Love one another in Korea.
Graham earned a reputation as the most respected voice of the American evangelical movement. From John F. Kennedy to Bill Clinton to George W. Bush, Graham cultivated relationships with those in the Oval Office.
It's comforting to be with a close friend.
The autumn of Graham's life saw changing musical styles and a revolution in mass media. But Graham stayed on message.
Jesus said there are 2 roads. There's the broad road that leads to destruction and judgment, and there's the other road that leads to heaven.
His decades as a deeply influential Christian leader have not been without controversy. During his 1957 crusade in New York, some conservative churches criticized Graham for working with mainline denominations. Graham refused to pick sides and encouraged Christians of all stripes to participate in his revivals.
This crowd has been brought together, I believe, by the Spirit of God, using all of us working together.
Perhaps the most damaging controversy of his career erupted over a series of conversations with President Nixon taped in 1972.
But this stranglehold has got to be broken or this country is going to go down the drain.
The tapes, released in 2002, revealed disparaging remarks about Nixon's Jewish political opponents. The aging evangelist apologized, saying he did not recall the conversation. These and other controversies led Graham to shy away from hot-button issues, even as the evangelical movement gained in political influence.
There are many times that I went too far in talking about such issues.
In the late 1990s, as his life shifted from autumn to winter, Graham weathered the controversies to continue his revivals until 2006. Through each season of his ministry, Graham cultivated a message centered on faith and redemption, and reaped a profound legacy. Walter Ratliff, The Associated Press.